Hey guys, King of Charmanders here. Today I bring to you a video on what the Heavy Bowgun is missing to be the very best. This video analyzes the Heavy Bowgun and compares it to the main series games. The Heavy Bowgun in Monster Hunter Now is limited in comparison to a lot of its main series counterparts. The good thing is the Heavy Bowgun still does a ton of damage in Monster Hunter Now. So what it lacks, it makes up for in a lot of power. However, the reason I fell in love with the Heavy Bowgun so much before I played Monster Hunter Now is because I played it a lot in the main series games when I was playing with my friends. First, we're going to start off with Sniper Mode. So in some of the main series games, you are able to look down your sights to snipe down a monster. It's really cool. If you're a military veteran or if you ever shot a gun before, you know that you could look down a sight, or you probably have sights so you can look down, unlike iron sights. And in Monster Hunter Now, unfortunately, you cannot zoom in and snipe the monster like you see right here. In Monster Hunter Now, this would allow you to hit critical weak spots easier and get better aim for sticky/sipsing ammo. For sticking ammo, you must hit the dome of the monster or the head in order to stun it. And for slicing ammo, of course, you need to aim at the tail to sever the tails. But if you look at this massive annihilation of this poor Tigrex, it's very incredible and a whole lot of fun. Sadly, we don't have that in Monster Hunter Now. Maybe in the future, but if we did have this, again, more accuracy is always nice, especially to make up for the weaknesses we're going to highlight later on in this video. Next up, we have switching between ammo sets. So in a lot of the main series games, you can switch between any ammo set you want as long as your Heavy Bowgun can use that ammo type. Unfortunately, in Now, you are forced to cycle through a set of ammo before you move on to the next one. You are also limited to only 2 or 3 sets of ammo. In the main series, yeah, you have a specific set you can use, but it's a heck of a lot more than in Monster Hunter Now. You can also switch between each one, so I can use Sticky if I want to in one situation, then switch to normal. I don't have to cycle through 3 sets or 2 sets of ammo in order to fire that specific type. And unfortunately in Now, not being able to switch between desired ammo limits your flexibility. You may be forced to fire ammo out of critical range/distance for the sake of moving to the next one, unless you're using defensive reloading. And last but not least, we have Strafe Firing. In a lot of the main series games, the Heavy Bowgun can fire while moving. You can even combo this into a dodge to get better positioning. It's one of my favorite things to do. Heck, you can even reload while doing it, and I loved being able to just strafe and reposition. It really feels like I'm in the military when you're doing like stacking drills or something like that. But it was a whole lot of fun. The problem is in Monster Hunter Now, the Heavy Bowgun cannot strafe fire. You're either forced to roll, or you just take it in the face using your shield. And that's a problem. Not being able to have some sort of strafe firing forces you to dodge early, so to reposition, and relying on guarding. So it has its limitations, and even if it was just like you could fire one shot and strafe just a little bit, this would have been an enormous improvement in the current situation of the Heavy Bowgun. However, I do understand the situation for the Heavy Bowgun implementation in Now a little bit because of the battlefield limitations. And here we compare Now versus the main series for Heavy Bowgun. So you saw a bunch of footage on the main series games. You got a whole lot of wiggle room right there. The battlefield is much larger, giving you more room to operate. You can fire from the top of hills. You can go ahead and dodge and dive in places you didn't think you'd go to, and heck, even underneath the monster. Now, don't get me wrong, you could do that in Monster Hunter Now as well, but that's usually the wings or under Devil Joe. Because in Monster Hunter Now, the battlefield is much more limited, causing you to hit a wall if you go too far. It's going to take you a second with that little slow dodge with Heavy Bowgun, but you get my point. And the spacing of the battlefield in Monster Hunter Now causes a headache with critical range, because the only 2 options you have to adjust is the slow roll I mentioned, or you rely on the monster performing an attack that comes to you.
You're going to have to come up with a smart way to kill it, or else...
And yes, it's a bang. If you know that legendary line, we can be friends, because that anime is absolutely amazing and one of the only acceptable ones I will watch in dub. But hopefully there are improvements to the Heavy Bowgun and other weapons being considered in the future. We didn't get a buff recently for Curse of the Wandering Flames, Dancing in the Tempest was actually the last time we saw a buff for the sword and shield and the dual blades. But if you want your weapon to get better, you need to know that there are things to improve on, and just like I highlighted here in the main series games, there's a lot of things you can implement for bowguns, specifically the Heavy Bowgun 2, which would make it so much better. In fact, adapting to the Heavy Bowgun is not difficult if you've played the bow or light bowgun extensively. However, the feel is very different if you played the Heavy Bowgun in the main series games. No, seriously, I played the Heavy Bowgun a lot when I was in group hunts with my friends in the main series games. That's the reason I'm complaining about it. It's not because I don't like it or I can't adapt to it like some people are saying. I can actually do it very well. You just gotta be a lot more patient and just adapt to the monster's behaviors and time it with your reload times. It's that easy. But it can get better. If something can get better, I'm going to make sure it gets better. Just like Monster Hunter now. It's not perfect, it's not great, it can always be improved, and you're always gonna be looking for those improvements. With that being said, please do me a huge favor. Like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. Hopefully you're having fun with the Heavy Bowgun. I will get that gold medal for the Heavy Bowgun one of these days. Probably not now, probably later. But I do hope to see some improvements for it, and along with the other weapon types in Monster Hunter now. Good luck on your grinds, and I will see y'all on the next video.